And welcome to the first edition of Things That Piss Off Liberals. Peaceful protests.
I know that people are angry, and that's okay. And if you want to take it out and send it my way, makes you feel better, that's fine. We know that this rally endangered people. When people gather that way without masks, they were in close proximity, they were touching one another, that's how COVID-19 spread.
Vaccines.
Where Vice Presidential Democratic nominee Kamala Harris basically said she would not take a vaccine that was released for coronavirus vaccine that was released under President Trump's administration. Let's take a listen.
I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump, and it would have to be a credible source of information that talks about the efficacy and the reliability of whatever he's talking about. I will not take his word for it. He wants us to inject bleach. No, I will not take his word.
Pretty stunning moment there, Crystal, where if they did happen to, like, no, look, nobody knows when a vaccine is coming, and obviously there are political incentives for the administration to try and put it out before the current election. However, all of that, I mean, if you have, basically given what I've seen, that the public health officials in the administration will go to war if they actually tried to do something like this, and certainly have in many other cases. But overall, as a public official like that, sowing doubt over a vaccine, that's incredibly irresponsible.
Thanksgiving.
You must cancel the normal Thanksgiving plans, particularly if they include guests that do not live in your immediate household.
Christmas.
We have heard from Donald Trump many. Why does he continue? This is a dog whistle to the base.
White people. Black people.
Berkeley, California, to find out if voter ID laws suppress the black vote. Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not.
Free speech. The U.S. Constitution.
That means get rid of the Electoral College and everybody.
I think that I'm open to the discussion. I mean, there's no question that the popular vote has been diminished in terms of making the final decision about who's the president of the United States, and we need to deal with that.
Would you support getting rid of the Electoral College?
Absolutely, it's got to go.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, when they're interested in all of this.
What if there were 5 justices selected by Democrats, 5 justices selected by Republicans, and those 10 then pick 5 more justices independent of those who chose the first 10?
Jobs and work.
Only in America does the president, when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? When we have this discussion about going back or reopening, I think a lot of people should just say no. We're not going back to that. We're not going back to working 70-hour weeks just so that we could put food on the table and not even feel any sort of semblance of security in our lives.
Small businesses.
Windows being broken out during the chaos in Chicago's South Loop late Saturday night. Looters ducking in to take what they can.
I could see the glass being completely just shattered, blown out by some object that they threw through the window.
Statues.
have gathered here for days, and some have threatened to tear it down, just like so many other statues they call symbols of white supremacy. Police have built barriers to protect the statue from a violent end.
God.
Mentioned leaving out the words under God.
There was the Democratic National Committee caucus. It was a Muslim Affairs caucus, a meeting that the DNC was holding this week. They left the words under God out, as you just heard. Also, the LGBT caucus, that's what they call themselves at the DNC, also left the words under God out. That video also up at cvnnews.com. The point is that there's an underbelly of a progressive far left that the Democrats are going to have to deal with, and that's what's kind of driving the ship.
Free and fair elections. And thanks for joining me on the very first edition of Things That Piss Off Liberals. As always, stay informed, folks. Resist!